Trump banned on Twitter, banned on Google, banned on pretty much every single social media platform out there. So today's episode is going to be unpacking a little bit of this. So the question for today is censorship or regulation? Is it the depth or the end of free speech? So welcome to episode 2 of what is now called I Am Not an Expert, because I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I said it in the last episode that I have opinions, and obviously today this podcast series is about unpacking a lot of my opinions on a lot of the sort of issues that we're currently going through in society, or whether they be political or most of them are going to be political. That obviously I want to share with you guys and share my 2 cents on it, and obviously we can have a discussion on what that looks like, and if we agree or we don't agree, that's okay, because we live in a society that obviously what I want to push is agreeing to disagree, and obviously if we agree, then like great, that's also great. But anyway, so episode 2 of the I Am Not an Expert podcast. Welcome back. Last time I did this for episode 1, which was the introduction, there was a lot of positive feedback. It seems like a lot of people were excited to see this, which I was very surprised about, to be honest, because I just thought nobody would give a shit. Pardon my French, I swear a lot. So I should probably put an explicit sort of rating to this podcast, because likelihood is I'm going to swear a ton. But anyway, I am very grateful to everybody who obviously had some feedback on that previous episode 1. And I'm hoping there's been some improvements since episode 1. I've played around with the audio, and again, hopefully it's all working well and there are no qualms. Today's drink, which is here, I've now beat COVID, so none of that ginger stuff. This is a tea, just a normal basic tea. However, some of you are going to shoot me for this, because I know tea is like sacred to a lot of people, but this tea, there's no milk in there, but it's also not a black tea, like just no milk. I put lemon juice in there, and a couple of sweeteners. This is beautiful. This is the only way I can drink tea, because tea and milk, it just don't work for me. I know, British people, you love this stuff, but from Zimbabwe we used to drink, I don't know if it's a Zimbabwean thing, because we used to drink tea with lemon, and I always really enjoyed it as a kid. I've never seen anybody else do it, but anyway, I'm doing it. So that's today's beverage. I'll put that down here. So what we're going to cover, again, like I said today, is censorship or regulation. Obviously, Twitter has banned Donald Trump after the insurrection at the Capitol in the US. And again, obviously, I'm in the UK, but a lot of these things, they kind of do filter out into the rest of the world, because again, the United States is such a big player. I've got some notes here that I'm going to keep sort of diverting to. So if I'm looking to the side for the ones that are covering it that are watching this on the video, it's because I'm kind of going through a couple of notes, because I'd figured if I put things down, I know I don't miss anything. And obviously everything kind of goes in the order that I may have pre-planned it. None of this is scripted, and I didn't want to have a scripted conversation with you guys. I wanted to have a natural, organic type, let's have a chat. And I don't want to ruin that by scripting it, because one, having to read, I'm really bad at scripts. I could never be an actor, because I'll probably try to wing everything, like freestyle everything, and then lose all my acting jobs. And I just feel like it's a bit more, it's way better and more natural and organic, like, because again, I want to have conversations, and no one has scripted conversations. So here we are. Anyway, so like I said, in this past week, President Trump has been suspended, now permanently suspended off of Twitter. Apparently Pinterest has also suspended him. I don't know what he was doing on Pinterest. I didn't look into it because I don't use I use Pinterest, but I don't use it to that, because I know there's quite a depth to Pinterest that I don't use it to that level. So I don't really know what Trump was doing on Pinterest. I'm assuming, I don't know. But anyway, he's apparently banned on Pinterest. And Facebook also banned him. I think some of these selling sort of apps have also banned his merchandise, which is bizarre to me. But anyway, again, the question for today is social media regulation or censorship. Is this what it is? I'll put my 2 cents in it at the end. At the time being, let's just cover a little bit of why it got to this point and what's actually happening. So I've got a list of things here, which is kind of the people that have been banned on Twitter over the years. I'm just going to cover 2021 because it's only a week in, and there's a long list of people that have been banned, and a lot of the names on this list tend to be conservative types who feel like obviously the idea of censorship is quite keen to them right now, because obviously these conservatives are the ones that are currently under they're the ones that are being negatively impacted by this spout of suspensions and bans on social media. More notable, the people that have been banned on here, obviously Trump, which is their, it says here, Donald Trump presidential campaign, which is their official Twitter. There is also obviously the at real Donald Trump, which is Donald Trump's personal Twitter page. It says here 45th President of the United States. This has been banned. And it cites here repeated and severe violations of Twitter's civic integrity policy following his supporters storming the US Capitol. On the 7th of January, he was suspended for 12 hours after Twitter removed 3 of his tweets. The official account of the US president, which is the @POTUS. So there was the US president, there's the Trump one, and then there's obviously the Trump campaign. It goes on to say the @POTUS account at the time used by Trump, which is now, because obviously he is currently POTUS, wasn't banned, but new tweets by Trump were deleted because after he got banned from his personal page, he has access to the POTUS page, to the POTUS Twitter page. So he accessed that and was then tweeting further inflammatory kind of tweets at that particular time when people were storming the Capitol. Anyway. It says here that wasn't banned. Where was I? But the tweets were deleted. Obviously, this account will transfer to Joe Biden as of the 20th, when Joe Biden is inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States. And obviously, that POTUS account will then move from being accessed by Donald Trump to being accessed by Joe Biden. I assume right now Joe Biden has his own personal Twitter account, so he'll have access to his own personal Twitter account as well as the presidential Twitter account. But yeah, these have been banned. Michael Flynn, which is a retired U.S. Lieutenant General, that was banned. Again, this cites here violating Twitter's policy on coordinating harmful activity. I assume, I don't know the details of the Michael Flynn ban, but I assume that has to do with the people that stormed the Capitol. Sidney Powell, again, a pro-Trump lawyer. This one I'm not too surprised about because she was spreading a hell of a lot of ideas and theories on the last election that just were not grounded on any evidence. So she was banned quite a while ago. Actually, no, she was banned on the 8th of January. I'm surprised about that because it was last year that she was spouting very, very deep conspiratorial theories. I assume she must not have been using her Twitter account to do them, but she had some interesting, very interesting theories that just there is no evidence of. Again, somebody called Jake Angeli, a Q shaman. Interesting. So this particular person is a QAnon conspiracy theorist and far right activist, related to being a figurehead of the 2021 storming of the United States. So it was one of the. Oh, this is the guy that was the. If you've seen the images, I believe this is the same guy that was wearing the bullhorns. Yeah, that is the guy. Yes, that is the guy that was wearing the bullhorns. The people that are watching the video, I'm gonna try. This is gonna take some like video editing prowess right here. I'm gonna try and get his image and put it in sort of here, maybe, hopefully, but I'll try. And a bunch of other people. So if you look at this list of people that have been banned in the last sort of since the beginning of 2021, quite a lot of them, if not all of them, are sort of right-wing conservative types. So there would have been, like I said, Trump supporters. And the idea that's currently being put forward by a lot of these individuals is this is not necessarily a case of information regulation by these social media tech companies. It is more of a silencing of the conservative voice. I am no conservative. I definitely am not. I think anybody that knows me knows that my political views are not of the conservative sort. But I would hope that obviously if I was a conservative, I would acknowledge that if there is any incitement of violence or anything like that, regardless of whether it's being done by a conservative or a non-conservative, I would be for that person not having the platform to be offensive and spread relatively inflammatory, sort of inciting violence type information on social media. But I think it's easy for me to say that because I'm not the one being shut down here. I think if my side was the one that I felt was being shut down, I would probably, to be honest with you, I wouldn't. There's no way. There's no fucking way. A lot of these tweets and stuff that have been put up by some of these individuals, just no, fuck no, man. I was gonna share my viewpoint on what I think about this at the end, but I just don't see how that's possible. Because fuck no, like fuck these guys. Anyway, moving forward, let me just open the other page again. There's a very high amount of people in here that are of the conservative types. So anyway, for context, I've got here a list of Trump tweets that has obviously led to him being banned by Twitter. I'm just gonna focus solely on Twitter because I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I vaguely use it. So the very last couple of days before his ban, as the people were storming Capitol, and he released a video condemning these individuals, which some people have put out and said, again, this is part of the reason why information regulation is important. The rumors or conspiracies going around in social media, again, there is no real evidence of it, that his concession tape was some deep fake sort of video that was obviously released, and it wasn't actually him posting that. He didn't actually say those things. He didn't concede. And again, these things, even if you are, I think they deserve to be looked at. And if they don't provide any evidence backing such a claim, that is a bold claim. And if you don't have evidence for it, I really don't think you should have a platform to spout such things. So a lot of this is the thing I don't understand is some of these individuals, their whole basis of saying that they're being silenced as a conservative voice is based on the idea that they should feel there is a freedom to say whatever the fuck I want, and you should allow me to say whatever the fuck I want, whether it offends or incites violence. It doesn't matter. I should be free to say whatever the fuck I want, and you should be forced to experience this nonsense, this bile that I'll be spewing on my Twitter account or whatever. I just don't agree. I don't agree at all. I think it's important, especially in this day and age, that we have certain checks and bounds that we follow. Someone has to be held accountable for what you share. If you share something on a platform that isn't based on it's got no evidence supporting it whatsoever, you should be held accountable for that. And obviously these social media platforms have taken that on board, and they've said, okay, they are getting a lot of stick because a lot of these people using their platforms aren't for. Donald Trump really should have been held to account a very long time ago, but obviously he still is the president of the United States. And the argument was that it's more important that people experienced him raw and uncut as he is on Twitter, and that gave them an understanding of the person he is, which I agree with, because without that, he would be saying a lot of these things anyway, just in private, and the American people wouldn't have that view of him, sort of that raw, uncut. They'll just have the edited, sort of smoothed out version of him. And I think it's important that a lot of these people be really free to express all of their views on Twitter, so that the people that are then going to go to the ballot box and vote for them, they don't just have the 2 seconds that this person spends in a campaign video. They actually have real-time access to this person's brain, and they know exactly what he thinks. And Donald Trump, as much as anybody, everybody knows exactly what Donald Trump is, because he is so raw and uncut in most of these things that there's no hiding the person he is. And most politicians really should be like that. They should be exposed to that extent, just because people will get to actually understand who they are better. And I don't think you couldn't put a number on the value of that before you vote for somebody to actually get to understand who they are. But anyway, some of these tweets are, just as people were storming the Capitol, these are the things and events that happen when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from the great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Go home with love and in peace. Remember this day forever. I mean, that tweet alone, while people are storming Capitol, obviously, if you live in the UK, this is the equivalent of individuals storming the Houses of Parliament, like literally thousands of them storming into that place, breaking everything. And while the MPs and the Lords are in there, potentially putting a vote through that maybe would be going against these individuals. This is literal, like, it's funny because these individuals are the same individuals that are for the processes of democracy going through, and it just so happens this time it's going against them, and because it is going against them, they're the first people to then completely disregard all of their values that they've sort of spouted for years, and say, no, we don't want that. Again, I don't understand it. But that's, anyway, these are some of the tweets that, just going through some of this, since the election, this guy has been spouting a lot of nonsense about the election that is, again, unfounded and there's no evidence. They've gone to court 60 times, and if I'm not mistaken, they've lost 58 or 59 of those cases. Um, Again, no, even the people on his side, the Republicans, they don't buy it. Quite a lot of them don't buy it anyway. But that's something of what he's been up to. The other big story that's currently happening, which is sort of like big tech seemingly attacking conservatives, is the deplatforming of Parler, the app. So Parler is sort of like it's an interesting app to me, because the way it works is it does not regulate. It's like Twitter. It's like Twitter. Its whole basis is it's an alternative to Twitter that doesn't necessarily regulate what you say on the site. And because they don't regulate or control or try, I say control, they don't regulate. I think it's regulation more than censorship, because I think there needs to be controls in place to allow people to have a safe space to exchange ideas without violent incitement of violence or unnecessarily offending individuals. I understand that no one has the right to not be offended all their lives, because this is another one of those arguments that people put across to say you have no right to not be offended. I agree. I fucking agree. But on the flip side, you also don't have a God-given right to offend me, and I should just take your offense. It just doesn't work that way. While I don't have a right to be offended, you equally don't have a right to just offend me. It's just that simple. But that's my take on it. Some people might disagree or whatever, but I get it. We can agree to disagree on this one. This is why this podcast is happening, because these conversations just had to be had. Anyway, Parler has been deplatformed by pretty much all of the big tech companies. So start off with Google. Google said, no, we're not going to hold your app on our app store. We're going to remove it. And then I believe the next step was Apple took it off of App Store. And then because Amazon was their server host, I believe, Amazon then said, we are not going to support this, and have basically cancelled out all their servers. So currently the Parler website is down until they find a new host server. I'm not a tech, so I don't really know how it works. All I know is Amazon was hosting the website, and now the website is down because of all of that. And now even if you have the Parler app, you can't actually use it, which is a shame, because I find conservatives very interesting. I find them very fucking interesting. So losing them from certain social media platforms, really, it hurts me, because I find them so fucking entertaining. Some of their thinking is just so insane. And I just like watching it and listening to some of these ideas. It's like, yo, you guys are crazy. But anyway, as I was saying, Parler is an alternative to Twitter. So their whole USP, their niche, is the fact that they don't regulate what you post. So in essence, you can post anything you want about there, which has actually happened. People have posted on there about a lot of the senators and congressmen in the US talking about beheading them and kidnapping them and all this kind of stuff. And because Parler's whole idea is these individuals should feel free to say what they want, I think there's a fine line. I think there isn't even a fine line. It's a clear line. Like, you cannot talk about beheading people. You should get deplatformed for saying things like that. And I think that's where Parler is missing the trick, in the sense that because it doesn't want to offend a lot of its base, a lot of these people are on here saying some of the most vile things, and Parler is just saying, we don't get involved. But I think at some point you must. It's it's a bit like a newspaper editor or a newspaper owner allowing his reporters to aimlessly say whatever they want in his page. Um, for me, that just says, hold on, you're gonna have a real big problem because again, a lot of the things that people might write, they need verification. Like, obviously, maybe the newspaper is a bit more of an extreme. It's a different thing too. But I do feel like maybe the way we treat newspapers in the way that we regulate the information that's coming through. It has to be verified. And if it's not verified, the newspaper itself could potentially be taken to court. The newspaper itself could potentially be taken to court. And again, if it's been shown to lie, then there is a legal recourse open to people to, address such issues. That's my take on it. I think social media platforms should be treated the same. So if you are on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, you are a user of Instagram and Twitter, I wonder if you should be treated as legally responsible for what you post, and if it's seen to be outwardly misleading, or you knowingly mislead, or you share some information on there that you yourself can't produce the evidence for to support it. I think, again, because some of the stuff being shared on here is highly damaging, and that needs to be addressed. I definitely do feel like that needs to be addressed. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think, because this is what I think anyway. But anyway, moving forward, here's my take on what's currently happening. I've kind of shared it throughout the time. I think Twitter is they are within their rights to have their terms and conditions of use of their space, and if they're seen to have, if they see somebody who's violating or continuously violating these terms of use, I think Twitter is well within their rights to ban such an individual, even if he is the sitting president of the United States. Do I think that Twitter overstepped? No. I think Twitter should have really done something about Donald Trump for a long time. I think fact-checking his claims for months and just leaving them up wasn't enough, because he was spreading a lot of misinformation, which led to the violence that happened on the 7th, I believe it was 7th of January. It was the 8th. A lot of people, actually 5 people died based on a lot of his tweets. And a lot of what he was saying, which again wasn't based on there was no evidence of it. It's a little bit like somebody walking into let's just say a bakery, for instance. So they walk into a bakery and they start shouting all sorts of nonsense inside the bakery at the other customers within the bakery. Would you not agree that the bakery is within their rights to tell this individual to leave the bakery? I would argue yes, because he's abusing and offending a lot of their customers. And this is what I think has happened here. Twitter have said, what you're doing to the rest of our customers, it just isn't right, and we're not going to allow you to do it on our platform. And they said no. Same with Amazon and Parler, because Parler was not adhering to Amazon's terms of use, because a lot of the stuff that they weren't removing from the site were highly inflammatory. They were inciting violence and very offensive to a lot of people. There's a lot of people on there that have said that some of the most offensive, racist things, homophobic, transphobic, all those kind of things on Parler under the guise of free speech. My take is Twitter did the right thing. They took a long time to do it, but in the end, they did the right thing. So I'm happy that they did that. Parler, similar thing. I think a lot of offensive and again violent, inciting sort of misinformation was being spread on Parler. And unless Parler do something, because I know they'll come back, unless they do something to really address those issues, they're probably going to suffer the same issue moving forward, because they need to. It's not censorship, it's regulation, which I think is important, because otherwise you have people saying a lot of these things, which is again leading to a lot of problems. If you look at the current situation with COVID, we have the vaccines out, but because there is a lot of information, a lot of misinformation, should I say, being spread out there by individuals on social media, sort of talking negatively about this vaccines, and even denying the fact that COVID exists, all of these things. And currently people on these platforms are able to say these things and no repercussions whatsoever. And if you're on Parler, you can say whatever you want, and there is literally no repercussions whatsoever. And I think that's where the problem comes in, because if you're someone who is highly influential, you have millions of followers or whatever, it could be 5 followers, you share this information that you can't verify yourself, somebody out of your followers is going to take that literally and seriously and may act upon it. In the past, this has happened, and I do definitely think maybe this is something that needs looking into by governments and the like, to see what we can do to obviously try and control this information that comes through social media more and better. But anyway, thank you very much for having watched or listened this far in. I don't want to make super long sort of clips of these kind of things, so I'm gonna stop there and leave it there and say thank you very much for watching and listening. You will find me on podcasts, on iTunes, on Spotify. I haven't got a YouTube page yet, but I'll post a video up on Instagram, and I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you on episode 3. Bye.